How's it going, guys? So today we're going to be putting two of the best smartphones out there in the Chinese market side by side and taking a quick look at both of them. So on the right, we have the OnePlus 13 16512 in black. And then on the left, we have OPPO's Find X8s Plus. Kind of a weird name. Too many letters and symbols. But here it is. Now, both of these phones are running on the latest ColorOS 15. And I feel like I've definitely talked enough about ColorOS 15 in my previous video, so I'm not going to do that one more time. So in terms of design, both of them have a matte finish on the back in their own unique way. This is what the OnePlus looks like. I'm going to give you a close-up shot so you can see better. We do have the old slider button, which I love very much, the 3-mode slider button. So it's ringer, vibrate, silent. This is one of the most useful extra buttons out there in the phone market, in my opinion. And then on the right, we have, of course, the power button and the volume rockers. And then we have the big camera bump. It's not actually that big when you compare it to other phones in the market, such as the Vivo X200 series, but it's definitely still a considerable bump. And as for the OPPO, it is rocking a shiny bezel here. I'm not sure what material this is. It looks like kind of plastic, maybe high quality plastic. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like a Pixel. Honestly, especially when you hold it like this and you don't see the back, it definitely looks and feels like a Pixel phone, like the 9 Pro or the slightly bigger 9 Pro XL. And again, this one has a matte finish on the back as well, but it feels different and it looks different too. There's almost absolutely no light reflection, as you can see. We do get a smaller camera bump. Actually, I'm not sure. Let me put them side by side. I'm not sure which one's bigger. Okay, yeah, they're probably the same. For a moment, since it's white, for a moment I thought it was a little smaller than OnePlus's bump. But anyways, and on the top we do get the IR blaster for both of them, along with the microphones. And in terms of software, as I said, both of them are running the latest ColorOS 15, which is an absolute bliss. I went over it in my OnePlus 13T video. It's definitely one of the best user interfaces out there in the market right now. And in terms of specs, the OPPO is running on the latest Dimensity 9400 Plus with a 6,000 milliamp silicon carbon battery and 16 gigs of RAM, and of course a triple camera setup, all of them 50 megapixels and a 32 on the front. Now, one thing that I love about this phone is the screen size. It's actually a 6.51 if I remember correctly, so it's not as small as an iPhone 16 Pro or 15 Pro, and definitely not as big as the Max versions of either of them, or even as big as the OnePlus, of course. So I do believe this is a better size for a phone to handle with one or two hands. And in terms of the specs of the OnePlus, as you are probably already aware, we have the Snapdragon 8 Elite instead, with the same 6,000 milliamp silicon carbon battery and the same 16 gigs of RAM and triple camera setup. But the results, however, are very different, especially from afar. The zoom capabilities on the OnePlus is definitely worse than the OPPO. OPPO can definitely take better pictures from afar. It can zoom in better. The amount of details that it can retain in the pictures, it just seems a lot better than on the OnePlus. I've put them side by side. I'm going to give you another quick tour of the UI in terms of how it looks and what features it has to offer very quickly. So right here to the left, we have this news feed area. I don't even know what to call it anymore because there's a lot of features in addition to the news part. You can definitely go ahead and get rid of as many of these widgets as you want, including the news area, or you can just go ahead and completely disable this area altogether. In terms of home screen customization, these are all the features that you get. We've already been through all of them. I'm not going to do it again, but it's pretty customizable. And then let me go ahead and create a folder real quick. This is what you can do with the folders now. Whoops. And then of course you get support for Google services, same as usual. I've already enabled it. And then Basically, to sum it all up, the only things that you will miss when you compare this to the global version, which is Oxygen OS, are Quick Share, Timeline, Circle to Search, and Hey Google. Apart from those, I can't think of anything else that you would be missing. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but we do get Android Auto now. It's under here, it says Smart Cars, and then there it is. You can, of course, go ahead and connect your vehicle. And you can definitely connect with your computer as well to share a clipboard or share files. So that can somehow make up for the lack of quick share, at least for me. It's actually very useful. And then I have installed Google Assistant and it works normally. I can even use it with Gemini. But the problem with it being that it does not support Hey Google, so you can't wake it with a voice command. You can't dedicate the power button to it either. All you can do is have a shortcut for it. And it definitely works. You just have to tap the mic button to let it know what you want. And it definitely works. It can go ahead and set up reminders, create lists and everything. You have almost no problem with late notifications anymore. All you have to do is go ahead and enable background activity for it, allow it, and then basically give it all the permissions that it might require, whatever app it is. And you should be good to go. And then of course, picture and everything is working perfectly fine as they should. And you can customize the sidebar with all of your apps. You get the file dock, which is very useful for me. Split screening and pop-up gestures haven't changed. You can go ahead and do it like this. Same as always. Works like a charm. You can choose your default apps for whatever you want to do. All you got to do is look default apps up, and they're right here. I have Chrome set as my browser, and then for wallet, I can definitely choose Google Wallet or any of these other payment methods. And with the OPPO, you also get this button on the side called the shortcut button, as opposed to Apple's action button, which is still a carbon copy off of what Apple has been doing. It's right here. Even the customization screen is very similar, if not identical, to what Apple has done. You can dedicate any of these actions that you want to it. We have the memo clip. I forgot to point this out. Memo clip and everything else basically that comes with AI is in Chinese, including Brino. You can wake it up with a Chinese phrase. This says 小步小步, but it worked. Anyways, you can wake it up with this or the power button, and then you can ask it to do things for you in English, and it can respond to a good extent actually. So let's go ahead and try that out. 小步小步. Can you speak English?
Sure. I'm proficient in multiple languages, including English. So feel free to communicate with me in English, and I'll do my best to assist you.
So yeah, this is what happens. She's not exactly proficient in English, as she just said, but she's definitely good enough. You can even ask it to set alarms or reminders. So let's do that. Hopefully it'll work. 小步小步. Wake me up in 5 hours.
You can set an alarm on your OPPO phone to wake you up in 5 hours. Here are the general steps.
So it did not do that. 小步小步. Remind me to take out the trash in 2 hours.
几点提醒你?
In 2 hours.
几点提醒你?
2个小时后.
好的，帮你定好了今天晚上8点47分的日程。
Okay, so this is very interesting. So it recognized the command and it went ahead and translated it for me into Mandarin. So in Mandarin, this says, take out the trash. So it did create a reminder with the correct label, except it's in Mandarin for some reason. And it did not understand in 2 hours. So it kept asking me, when do you want to be reminded? And finally I said after 2 hours in Mandarin, and it did recognize it, and it finally did it. It's still definitely not reliable if you don't speak a word of Mandarin, but it's better. I call that progress. And one thing that I did try is skip a song. It definitely works with that. So that's a good sign. You're playing something off of whatever music app you use. I use YouTube Music. So you're playing music and then you can just say the magic word and ask it to go to the next song in English. You can just say play next or play the next song or whatever, and it will do it. So again, that's progress. But everything else, basically everything else in the AI section of the phone is in Chinese. If you don't speak any Chinese, you can go ahead and disable all of these features, including the memo clip, unfortunately. But you do get a bunch of useful features here, including Brino Touch, which is kind of similar to Google's Circle to Search. In some way, you can extract texts and whatnot. You get a screen translate feature, which is the best out there, literally. You can do it partially like this, and this will happen, or you can do it like this, which is full screen. And one thing that sets it apart is that it supports any language. I haven't seen this with many Chinese phones. You can set the source language to auto, so it'll detect the language. You're not limited to Chinese, because for comparison, when I tried this with the Vivo, it does not support any other language except simplified Chinese for the source language if you want it translated to English. But this is not the case with ColorOS. You get all these languages, and then you could have it on auto and then translate it to English, whatever language it is, out of those options. And the overall experience of using the phone with ColorOS is an absolute bliss. Very, very smooth animations everywhere, literally. It's one of the fastest and smoothest UIs out there, if not the fastest and smoothest. So that's something that I absolutely love about this phone. And it's basically everywhere, all throughout the phone. It's very, very smooth and just delightful to use. Now, I'm doing everything software-wise on the OPPO because, as I said, they're basically the same thing. There's almost no difference at all between the two software-wise. However, one thing that is different is heat management, and that is, I presume, because of the processor, basically. Because this one has a Dimensity 9400 Plus processor instead of the 8 Elite on the OnePlus, and it's definitely getting warmer to the touch, even on normal use, as I've been doing right now throughout the video. So yeah, heat management is definitely better on the OnePlus. And the other difference that they have is, of course, the shortcut or whatever button, as opposed to the slider on the OnePlus, which is better in my opinion, because we can't use all the other functions on it anyways if we don't speak Chinese. And in terms of performance, I did a 3D Mark stability test. I did Well-Off Extreme stress test. And we're going to take the results right now together. So it's right here. So as you can see, the scores are very similar. The best loop score, the lowest loop score, and even the stability percentage are all very, very similar on both of them. But I don't really believe in benchmarks that much because they put irregular, abnormal pressure on phones. So I went ahead and tested both of them thoroughly on Delta Force, which is, in my opinion, one of the best looking, optimized, graphically intensive games out there currently. Just so you know, let me take a look at the records under battery. So for Delta Force, okay, it's probably this part where it lost the most battery. 23, almost 24 minutes. So excluding the loading screens and everything, I was playing for like 20 minutes on maximum graphics settings on the OnePlus, and it did not throttle at all. I did not notice any frame drops or anything. I was doing a solid 90 FPS. But on the OPPO, however, even though I spent a similar amount of time, so as you can see, it's 23 minutes, again, 20 minutes of pure gameplay on maximum settings. It definitely throttled at one point. It was noticeable, and it was getting really hot to the touch as well. I'm assuming this has to do with the processor. However, that being said, battery life is definitely considerably better on the OPPO as opposed to OnePlus or even my S25 Ultra, which is worse than both of them. So in short, you get better looks, at least in my opinion, better battery life, and better camera on the OPPO, and a better, more hand-friendly size, definitely. And on the other hand, you definitely get a lot better performance, especially during intensive tasks like gaming. You get better performance, better heat management. It's definitely one of the best performing smartphones out there in the market. The only phone out there that I can confidently say is better in terms of performance than the OnePlus 13 right now is Red Magic's 10 series, the 10 Pro. And that's because it has a freaking cooling fan. How crazy is that? So that's performance. And last but not least is the charging speed, which is, again, one of the best out there. So the Chinese version of the phone comes with a whopping 100-watt wall charger, which can give you a full charge in like less than half an hour, which is mind-blowing. The OPPO's 80-watt charger can also charge your phone very quickly, but it's definitely not as fast as the OnePlus. The technology used here is just different. It's not just about wattage. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know which one's your choice down in the comments and what product you would like me to review next. All right? Until the next one, peace out.